Chapter 6. Fire. Hey, he's waking up. With a soft groan, brilliant Mako's glowing eyes blinked open before slamming shut at the over-blinding light bouncing off the white walls. Hold on, Neville. The sounds of blinds being drawn reached oversensitive ears, making him flinch. Oh, how long it had been since his hearing was back to soldier strength. Blinking his eyes open once more, Neville looked around the room. He was currently lying in one of the many hospital beds lining the walls of the dreaded hospital wing. Many of his fellow Gryffindors were situated around his bed, all smiling down at him. Bloody hell, mate, you all right? Ron was sitting down on the edge of the bed with Hermione next to him. Dean, sunglasses firmly in place, was on the other side, standing with his hands folded together in front of him, with Seamus standing by his side looking at him like he was off his rocker. Harry, though, he noticed, was missing. I'm all right. What happened? Neville pushed himself up so that he was sitting up in the bed. His head felt like he had been clobbered by a cave troll. You said someone's name and then grabbed your head and collapsed, scared everyone, even Professor Snape. Hermione moved so that she was sitting next to him. Neville, what happened? Frowning slightly, Neville glanced down at his hands. Memories had been assaulting his mind ever since potions class. He knew who he was. He knew what he was, but there were so many conflicting emotions. Neville and Angel battling for dominance. Looking up at his friends, he shook his head. Best to play ignorant for now until he could figure out what was going on and get these two personalities straightened out. I don't know, I don't remember any of it. Sorry, guys. He gave them what he hoped was a sheepish smile. What did I tell you for? You need to go back to class. Madame Pomfrey came bustling out of her office, shooing them out. The group sighed, knowing that there was no way that they were going to get out of this one. We'll talk to you later, Neville. You know Hermione will have notes waiting for you. Hermione rolled her eyes, smacking Ron on the shoulder as they headed out of the ward. Madame Pomfrey bustled around him, checking him over for a few minutes before heading off to inform Dumbledore that the boy was all right. Looks like spending your entire life with Genesis has given you the acting abilities of a Loveless Avenue star. Blinking, Neville looked over towards the shadows. He did not realize another person was in the room. He couldn't help but smile though as he recognized that monotone voice. Commander Tseng. Smiling slightly, Tseng stepped out of the shadows from which he had been hiding since Neville was brought up here. Silently he moved over to the bed the now ex-soldier was sitting up in. It's Director now, actually. Welcome back, Angel. Hey, Harry. Hearing that soft voice, Harry turned, leveling Mako's eyes on none other than Cho Chang. Oh, hello, Cho. Turning back, he headed towards the dungeon. Dumbledore had requested that he begin a new class with probably the worst professor in the world to teach it. Cho, he was surprised, matched his step, keeping side by side with him. How are you doing? She asked absently, brushing her hair back behind her ear. Tilting his head to the side slightly, he looked at her out of the corner of his eyes. I have been better. It was true. Ever since Neville collapsed in potions, his head had been filled with images of a auburn-haired man. Most of them had been happy. Others a little on the disturbing side. Why the hell am I having visions of a man naked and begging me to take him? That thought sent a shiver down his spine. Last time he checked, he didn't find men attractive. So why? To add on top of that, he was now heading down to Professor Snape's office for his first lesson in something they called Occlumency. Dumbledore believed that something or someone was controlling his thoughts, and after his little show of aggression against Hermione at breakfast, they felt it was best to start the training now instead of later like they had planned. He loved how they kept this type of thing from him until things got to the part where they couldn't be ignored anymore. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I'll see you later. Cho gave him a soft smile and moved away, heading back for her own common room. A small frown pulled at Harry's face. Last year he had wanted nothing more than to have her paying attention to him. Now, it actually was kind of annoying. Looks like I really need this lesson. I don't know what the hell is going on with me. Walking silently down towards Snape's office, he felt his chest starting to constrict, dread starting to fill his stomach. Something about the hallway was causing something deep in him to scream in agony. Am I a human being? No such luck. You are a monster. I oath, you were the greatest monster created by the Genova Project. Gasping, his knees gave out under him, sending him crashing to the ground. You are special. I oath, you will become a living god. You will destroy all those unworthy. Panting hard, he barely registered the hand grabbing his upper arm roughly and pulling him to his feet. Potter. Feeling someone shaking him, Harry blinked back, tears that were building in his eyes. Rubbing his eyes, he looked up, finding himself face to face with Snape. Looks like the headmaster was correct after all. Hurry up, Potter. Moving his grip down to Harry's wrist, Severus all but dragged the boy the rest of the way down to his office. He had been coming back from a meeting with Albus about the very boy when he had found him collapsed on the ground, clutching his head, muttering that he was not a monster, Genova and Mother. Looks like whatever had control of his mind was gaining more and more control by the minute. Moving into his office, he moved Harry over to one of the few chairs and pushed the boy into it. Professor Dumbledore has asked me to instruct you in the art of occlumency. He fears that through the connection you share with the Dark Lord that these new personality traits might be his influence. Occlumency will teach you to block your mind from any intrusion. Dumbledore thinks Voldemort is doing this? This didn't seem like the thing Voldemort would do. This was too mild to be him. Yes, he does. Now, I will enter your mind and you will try and expel me. Now, prepare yourself. Before Harry could even blink, he heard Snape shouting a spell, and the next thing he knew, memories were flying past his very eyes. Growling, Harry could feel him there in his mind, picking and pulling at the memories, bringing up the most embarrassing ones he could find on his way through. He had just managed to get a lock on Snape's magical signature when the memories shifted. No longer was he at Hogwarts, no, these were his dreams. The memories stopped flying past, instead locking onto one, allowing it to play out in front of his eyes in amazing detail. Harry moved away from Snape's magical signature. This was a dream he had never seen before. Two young men stood before him, dressed in identical purple high-neck sleeveless shirts and baggy pants. Around their waist they wore a belt with a strange insignia carved into the stiff leather. Attached to it was a harness that kept two hardened leather pauldrons on their shoulders. The one on the right was large both in height and sheer size, with neck-length black hair, brilliant glowing Mako blue eyes and a small goatee on his chin. The other was a younger version of the auburn-haired man that had been invading his thoughts all day. General, let me introduce you to your newest second class. A blond man with glasses in a dark blue pinstripe jacket stood beside him. Sergeant Angel Hewley. The larger of the men gave a crisp salute before going back to a rested position. General, sir. Was that Neville's voice? And Sergeant Genesis Rhapsodos. The redhead gave him an arrogant smile, those pale blue eyes traveling up his form. My friend, your desire is the bringer of life, the gift of the goddess. The man's voice was like smooth silk. Angel rolled his eyes next to him and slapped Genesis on the back of the head. Forgive him, General. He's obsessed with Lovelace. The memory faded away only to be replaced by another one. Genesis sat before him on his desk, obscuring him from doing the mountain of paperwork that had been dumped on him. Now, though the man was dressed in black with a long thick crimson leather coat and black pauldrons on his shoulders. Genesis. I am quite busy, Lazard needs these missions reports. Genesis laughed softly, crossing his legs and gently resting his elbow on a crossed knee, his chin coming to rest on his palm. In his other hand he held a white and purple fruit. A Banora white. I have a better idea. How about we lock the door and make use of that new couch Shinra bought you? Harry was almost grateful that memory shifted when it did. That was one of those disturbing dreams that had been plaguing him. As the next memory began, he almost wished it had stayed on the sexual situation. Am I a human being? No such luck. You are a monster. Turning, he was greeted once more by the sight of Genesis, only now he looked as if he had aged horribly. While his face still appeared young, markings were running up along the side of his neck. His once vibrant hair was now streaked with grey. Even his jacket appeared to be losing its color. But what stood out among all of it was the massive black wing sprouting from his left shoulder. Eoth. You were the greatest monster created by the Genova Project. Genesis. So you are alive. He knew that voice. It was the voice of the young man from his dream, the one with the spiky black hair. It was Fred's voice. Genesis smirked arrogantly, raising a hand to his face, running the leather glove over decaying skin. I suppose I am, if you can call this living. What is the Genova Project? That arrogant smile returned full force as Genesis once more returned his attention to Harry. His glowing pale blue eyes were insane looking. The Genova Project was the term used for all experiments relating to the use of Genova's cells. My mother ''s ... cells? Genesis moved, throwing his arms open, his next words coming in a mocking tone. Poor little Eoth, you've never actually met your mother. You've only been told her name, no? He sat down on a rise of metal steps as if he didn't have a care in the world. I don't know what images you've conjured up in your head, but Genesis, no. Genova was excavated from a 2,000-year-old rock layer. She's a monster. Pain. Betrayal. Heartache, all of those ripped through Harry as the memory shifted once more. The dream changing to one he was familiar with, but this time it was different. He wasn't the one looking out of those eyes. He was now looking at himself. Flames roared all around him, fueled by the town that was set aflame and the bodies of slain men, women and children all around his feet. A figure dressed in a long black leather duster and thigh-length platinum silver hair stood amongst the flames. A sword easily as long as the person was tall was held in his left hand, dripping with the blood of those slain around him. Slowly the figure lifted their head, long silver arched bangs blowing across their face from the force of the wind the fire created. Raising his head all the way up, he was met by brilliant glowing green cat-slit eyes that shined with pure murderous insanity. Sephiroth. Gasping, Harry slammed onto the cold flagstone floor, his whole body trembling as he pushed himself onto his hands and knees. Sephiroth. That was the name everyone had been calling him in those dreams. That man, that insane man standing in the flames covered in blood, had the same eyes he now did. He was almost afraid now to know what these dreams meant, what connection he had with the unearthly silver-haired man in the flames. Slowly Harry lifted his head, almost afraid to see what his professor's reaction was. Swallowing hard, he met those dark black eyes of his professor. He was shocked to see horror in those depths. Severus could only stare in shocked horror. Never in his life had he ever seen anything like this. Those weren't dreams as the boy believed them to be, but memories. Suppressed and hidden memories that had been brought to light with the first memory of the auburn-haired man. Genesis Rhapsodos. That was the same name Neville had said right before he collapsed. He needed to speak with Dumbledore immediately, if what he saw was true. They had another more powerful Dark Lord on the rise.
Well, I do hope you enjoyed the videos so far and video game content. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment down below. And I noticed 40% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. If you can, please subscribe to the channel. It'll help me and help the channel grow. Until next time, goodbye!